Hi, everybody. This is Matt Smith and Janine Leffler.
Happy New Year.
Mm-hmm.
So today we are here to talk about our wrap up, our entertainment wrap up for December and January. If you would like to go back and watch our video from last month where we reviewed holiday movies, that link will be in the description. Also in the description will be my video that I made on New Year's Day for what my goals are for the year. Did you want to talk about your goals first?
Well, my goal for the year is hoping that both Janine and I do start off with a bang with Vertical Harvest and then saving some more money so we can go explore places that are relevant to us. And Jean may have a couple of points of interest that we may talk about in today's video.
That was a good segue because for Christmas, my cousins Victoria and Olivia gave me this book. It happened right here, America's Pop Culture Landmarks, and I have already bookmarked several places I want to go see for day trips. Um, for one example, I have the scene where Breakfast at Tiffany was set. If we ever go back to New York City, the next time we go back to New York City, I may want to save money and not go to see a Broadway play, but instead spend some time sightseeing because we can also go to see the 9/11 memorial in addition to the Breakfast at Tiffany setting.
Well, I'm sure there's many places in New York where films have been set, and that could be worth visiting too, especially Central Park.
I'm getting to another one. Um, Another place in New York City I want to go to is Greenwich Village, where the Friends that inspired the Friends set, and then for Scranton, Pennsylvania, where The Office is set, and also um, Westport, Connecticut, which inspired the town in Gilmore Girls. Um, Washington Depot, Connecticut, which inspired Stars Hollow from Gilmore Girls. So hopefully we can plan that trip later this year. We also want to go to
We want to go to Boston because we're starting to watch the TV show Cheers, and right on Beacon Street, where the former Bull and Finch is, they renamed it based on the show, and you can visit that place for nice mealtime or some drinks, something like that.
so the next thing that we wanted to talk about is the Wicked movie that was released right before Thanksgiving. We saw it the week in between Christmas and New Year's with my mother and my sister. And as a big Broadway musical fan, I was very excited to see this because I saw this show on Broadway in the early 2000s with the original cast, which starred Kristen Chenoweth as Glinda and Indina Menzel as Elphaba, and also Rue McClanahan from The Golden Girls was Madame Morrible, who
Mhm.
was the magician teacher. So since this was your first time seeing Wicked, what did you think?
I kind of wish I would see the whole thing because it's only during the second half where we have the song For Good. And I know about that song. But other than that, where it has some of their more recognizable songs, like that Loathing one, and in addition to that, Defying Gravity, which ends part one. So it was only part one, and to my surprise, how can they make it into a movie that's 2 hours, 40 minutes long?
I think it's kind of dumb that I think they split the movie into two movies just so they could make more money. They could have just easily made it one movie and still made a lot of money. The title you were thinking of for that song with all the loathing is called "What Is This Feeling."
Oh, what is this feeling?
My
Okay.
other favorite songs from Wicked are "Dancing Through Life" and "For Good," which is in the second half of the movie, and "Defying Gravity" and "Popular." Now, what kind of confused me was the order of the songs because um The scene where Popular is sung before the scene where Dancing Through Life is sung, so that kind of threw me off. Um and then I think there are really good messages in this movie, much like Shrek, about bullying and accepting people's differences. Because, like Shrek, Alphaba is green, and she is made fun of because she's green, which is really mean of people to do. But I like Glinda's development arc, where she is originally making fun of Alphaba, but once she gets to know her better and spend more time with her as her roommate, she starts to accept her more, which I think is great.
Yeah, since I don't know much about Cynthia Erivo, can you tell me a little bit about her?
The other movie we have seen her in is the live action Pinocchio movie that we saw in 2023. She was the Blue Fairy.
Mm.
Other than that, I don't think we've seen very many other movies with her in it that I remember. But I thought she was really cast well as Alphaba. And then our, I'm familiar with Ariana Grande mostly through her music, so I never saw any of the Disney Channel shows she was on, like
No,
Salmon
she was
Cat.
not on Disney Channel. It was Nickelodeon, where
Oh, that's what I
they
mean.
had the Victorious and then their own show, Sam and Cat.
Yeah.
And Ariana Grande is one that I follow because since she had that bombing in one of her concerts in England, that's when I have more faith in people who would do such things. It's really wrong, and kind of felt bad for her since then. So I can imagine how she would feel. But you also must remember that before this got into a play and a movie, then they had to do a search load of members to fit in with the popular roles. And also remember, Kristen Chenoweth and Idina Menzel had minor roles in this movie too.
They were in a scene where they sing Just for One Day when Elphaba and Glinda arrive in Oz.
Hmm. But and also, if it wasn't for Ariana Grande, one of the more popular pop stars who could have taken her place for Galinda would have been probably Lady Gaga. Both Lady Gaga and Ariana did this duo together called "Rain on Me" a few years ago.
The other thing about Wicked I wanted to mention was the silencing the animals plot. Apparently, this was in the play, but I totally forgot about this scene. What did you think of it?
Well, the animals talking, I was not familiar with that.
Yeah, it kind of made me think of the book Animal Farm because all the animals in that book talk and they're trying to start a revolution. And basically, the animals who are teaching at Shiz University are trying to save their jobs. So that's why they are doing a revolution. But all of the humans who work at the college want to just have human teachers be there and don't have any animal teachers.
Right.
Okay, so for movies, we wanted to talk about Moana 2, which we saw a couple of weeks ago.
It really was a good sequel to the first Moana. Moana by then looked like she established her character very well, and everybody was interested in how she traveled and how far she would go related to the first movie. Now, some theorists say that this is a reversal of Little Mermaid, but in Moana 2, I started to feel like there were one or two more parts that were almost similar to that plot as well.
How do you think Moana is similar to The Little Mermaid?
Well, for instance, Janine, in the first Moana movie, Moana wanted to get away from her land and sail the sea, which she really had a passion for and actually was given a gift. But her parents, especially the chief, would not let her.
Like King Triton.
Like King Triton would not let Ariel go up to land because of humans.
Right.
So they proved them wrong. And in this first movie. And then the second movie, when Moana had her crew with them on the ship, they found Maui again. And I think that part where Moana saved into a new island with a big storm, that's almost like a role reversal when Ariel had to save Eric from when he drowned during a big storm.
Right.
So that's heroic in many ways.
And the crab in the first Moana movie, Tamatoa makes a reference to the Little Mermaid because he mentioned that his grandmother was speared by a ship, and that's how Ursula was killed in the first Little Mermaid movie.
Oh, yes.
The next movie that we watched is The Bad Guys.
Yeah, the bad guys was as until I went to with Janine over a week ago to Books a Million. I found out that this was a children's book series, and it's really about these kind of animal like who do bad stuff. But in this movie, the wolf person kind of makes out a scheme with this fox, this female fox, who is on a spy mission, and they end up trying to find out why this this little squirrel named Marmalade is under a bad scheme.
He was a guinea pig, and the female fox was the governor who was in disguise and hiding her identity, who was also a criminal originally, and she befriends the other guy who's the fox. I forget his name, but I think my favorite character in the Bad Guys is the spider because she's good at cracking internet codes. Who's your favorite character?
My favorite character had to be the wolf because he's the main plot of the game. So we gave Moana 2 an A minus, and we gave the bad guys a B.
Another movie that I wanted to talk about really quick before we move on is Love and Gelato, which is on Netflix. My mother and I watched it on Thursday night when I was sleeping over her house. We are taking Italian classes together in the adult education program at Deering High, and we were watching Love and Gelato so we could practice our Italian because there's Italian language and the subtitles, and it goes into some of the vocabulary that we're learning. Um,
Now, if you've never had gelato before, it's made the same way like ice cream, but it originated in Italy. And they have lots of flavors you could put in the cream, and you can eat it on a cone as well.
the next thing we wanted to talk about is the play that we saw on Saturday with Sally at Kennybunk High School. It's called Silent Sky, and it is Kennybunk High School's entry into this year's One Act Festival, which will be at Kennybunk High School in March. So that One Act Play Festival will be reviewed in our March wrap up. So this is about this play is about astronomy, and it was about the first female astronomer. What time period was this set in?
I would say this is probably like the early 1900s.
I was getting the impression that this was either late 1800s or early 1900s because I was getting the impression by how the character of Wilhelmina, or no, was it Wilhelmina or Annie who's the one who's going to the civil rights marches?
I think it was Wilhelmina.
Okay, so um this character is highly involved in civil rights marches, and so is Winifred Banks from Mary Poppins. So that was what was making me think that this play is set in the same time period as Mary Poppins, and I liked the romance development between Peter and Henrietta, and I kind of wish that she hadn't been so stubborn and actually let herself live a little to get married to him, but he ended up getting married to somebody else, which I was disappointed in. My favorite character was Henrietta's sister Margaret, and
I liked Henrietta the best.
Henrietta was good, and I also liked Annie, who is played by B. Brendan Dodson. So
So this play was directed by a senior at Kennebec High School named Gracie Mitchell.
Henrietta was played by Juliette Rice, who is also a junior. Wilhelmina was played by Isabella Donnery, who was a senior. Noah Hammond is he was the lead in the Hunchback of Notre Dame back in the fall, and he was really good as Quasimodo. Um, da, 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 whoops, who are we missing? I think I forgot somebody. D. Here we go. Oh, and B. Brendan Dodson is a junior. She was the one who played Annie. So this whole cast was incredibly talented, and I hope that they are very successful in the one act competition that is in March.
Yes, I hope so too.
The next thing we wanted to talk about is first impressions of cartoons that we started watching back before Christmas. We had started to watch Danny Phantom before the holidays and watched the Christmas episode of Kim Possible. I watched Kim Possible when I was younger, and I really, really enjoyed that cartoon, and Kim was always one of my favorite cartoon characters. She was voiced by Christy Carlson Romano from the Disney Channel show Even Stevens, and her friend Ron is voiced by Eric Matthews, Will Friedle from Boy Meets World.
That TV show had a talent of Disney Channel stars with multiple roles. Not only Christy, but also Raven, who was her black friend Monique, Kirsten Storms, who was her frenemy Bonnie Rockwaller,
The other
the
cheerleader.
other cheerleader, and Taja Mowry was Wade, the one who was giving Kim and Ron the
Right,
statuses.
right. Tia and Tamara's brother, who was also on the show Smart Guy.
And this talented Nancy Cartwright, who was famous for Bart Simpson, was the naked mole rat Rufus.
And I'm pretty sure that the guy who is Ross and Monica's dad on Friends is the voice of Kim's dad.
No, that's Ron's dad.
Ron's dad, that's what I mean.
Kim's dad was voiced by Gary Cole, and her mom was Jean Smart.
Okay. And then the other cartoon that we started to watch before the holidays was Danny Phantom, which I never watched growing up. This was the second Butch Hartman cartoon to be released after The Fairly Odd Parents, which I grew up watching. I thought it was okay. I'm really enjoying Danny Phantom much better than I did The Fairly Odd Parents. I think the reason why I didn't like The Fairly Odd Parents very much was because I thought Timmy was a little bit too whiny.
Well, some theorists thought that Timmy Turner was growing up being very depressed.
He is depressed because his parents are so abusive.
Well, not only that, but also he had another anxiety depression disorder. And then the gift was when he was given the chance with the bad babysitter, Vicky. That's when he got his goldfish turned to his fairy godparents.
Wanda and Cosmo.
And the concept was really started before Fairy Odd Parents was a series in one of those oh yeah cartoons.
Right, I remember that.
Now, Danny Phantom, the same creator, the reason I grew up on watching the show, I was comparing it with Kim Possible, and they're just basically in the state of mind of high school students. Because we were in college by this time, we started to miss a little bit of our days with being in high school and friends and growing up. But honestly, when I think about Kim Possible and the cheerleader team she was on, it started to remind me so much of the cheerleaders from my high school who would support our football team.
Yeah, same with me. I mean, so Kim Possible came out in 2002 when I was a sophomore in high school, so I was watching it at the very end, at the very
Beginning.
well, no, it aired in 2002. It went from 2007. So I watched it from the first season to the third season, and then I went to college and stopped watching it. But I really love Kim Possible, and also Kim Possible has one of the best cartoon theme song sung by Christina Milian.
I would recommend it before you kids would watch the live action 219 film on Disney Channel. Watch the regular cartoon series if you have Disney Plus first. You'll notice the difference and really get more kick out of the concept and everything else.
So the last thing we're going to talk about in today's video is Disney fan theories. We're going to talk about Encanto in next month's video because we haven't watched it yet. But we are going to talk today about Frozen and predictions for Frozen 2. I mean Frozen 3. So Frozen 3 is supposed to come out later in the year. The fan theories for Frozen, we wanted to talk about our connections to other Disney films. Theorists have theorists on either film theory or um Wicked Binge have said that, or there's another, I think it's The Take. I can't remember the other YouTube channel that I got these film theories from, but one theory says that Frozen is connected to The Little Mermaid and Tarzan and Tangled. They say that it's connected to Tangled because friend Rapunzel and
Rapunzel and Flynn were in the scene walking to the castle during First Time in Forever.
right. Do you think that Frozen is connected to Tangled just based on that one scene?
It could be because there might be a family connection, and if you'd watched Tangled, you might have remembered how she got in her tower separated by Mother Gothel when she was a baby.
Um, they say that Frozen is connected to the Little Mermaid because of the shipwreck that is under the ocean that Ariel is sifting through treasures through. But I think this was disproven in Frozen 2 because of where the parent ship sank, and it didn't seem like any of Ariel's treasures were in that scene in Frozen 2 where Anna and Elsa find a ship. And the theory about Tarzan being connected to Frozen is that um, Tarzan is the brother of Anna and Elsa because of like the parent surviving the shipwreck and then giving birth to Tarzan and then getting killed by a leopard. Like, I don't know how possible this is because I'm pretty sure that Frozen and Tarzan are set in different time periods, aren't they?
I think so. And there's also a theory also in Tarzan where Jane is actually Belle's granddaughter.
I think that theory could definitely be true because of the fact that they both like to read and they both have um, fathers that are scientists because um, her dad, Jane's dad in Tarzan, um, is a animal scientist, and more recent Beauty and the Beast is an inventor. Mm-hmm. And also, there's a tea set in one of the scenes that looks very similar to Mrs. Potts and Chip. So I think that's why theorists connect Beauty and the Beast and Tarzan to each other, which makes sense. The next theory from Frozen is the trolls are the villains instead of Hans.
Well, you know what? The trolls, I think, I disapprove of that because I thought the trolls, they were giving a little healing power to Anna the first time she was kind of got that struck by the frozen part by her sister Elsa. So I don't see how that could be a villainous part.
I think we have to go back and watch the video where this theory shows up again because it's either Wicked Binge or The Take that gives a good reason for this theory to be true. I think it has something to do with the trolls having evil powers and trying to distract Kristoff and Anna from being together because of the song Fixer Upper, and how they're all talking about the negative traits of him, like him being smelly, him not being well kept, or whatever.
Well, sometimes I think trolls have different minds than the humans. So maybe that's what they think.
The final thing we're going to talk about to wrap up today's video is the predictions for Frozen 3. This wasn't a video that Wicked Binge came out with in the spring of last year, which will be linked in the description below. The first theory that we wanted to discuss is Anna and Kristoff getting married.
Well, that is one possibility, and I'm actually kind of hoping that would be because the first two movies, Kristoff seems like a more good natured person, especially for Anna, than Hans ever was.
I agree. I really hope that Anna and Kristoff get married. The other theory, the other prediction for Frozen 3 that I forgot to write down is Elsa will get a love interest. And the reason why people make this prediction is because of the connection that Honey Marin had with Elsa at the end part of Frozen 2, which I think makes sense. And I think that will be a good development for Elsa's character. Um, and also, I'm hoping that Anna will find out what her powers are, because I think she has powers that are related to like summer or fall or spring, because Anna has power also has powers with snow and ice, and like El- Anna's dresses are in lighter color tones that are more spring or summer like. So I hope that if Anna has any powers, those will get revealed in Frozen 3.
Yes, I think that if you're going to have a family member who have magical winter powers, then it should be passed down to another being who was born of king and queen who were ended up at sea and making those two daughters orphans.
Right.
And before we end this video, I also want to catch up on what I've been reading so far. Before the end of the year, I read a book called World Enough, which was based on a story about this girl named Tara who was in Boston. But she was trying to figure out after one band member fell down the stairs to his death, was there a link associated with that? And that's another fan based thing about the city of Boston. Because when you think of the city of lights and Red Sox and watch programs like Cheers, you got to think straight. But currently, I'm also reading a book called Frozen Crown. This has nothing to do with the Disney Frozen experience. This is about a princess from a cold place on Earth trying to defend her territory and win back the Frozen Crown when she goes into the desert.
And for my reading updates, I will link my latest reading updates video in the description. So we hope you have a good day. We will be back at the beginning of March for our February wrap up.
I hope you had a good Martin Luther King Day and please stay active this winter. Bye.